All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is a video on our main side, one of the 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company, where what we do here is allow the body to work. Okay, allowing the body to work is our slogan here on In the Image Clothing Company's main side. Why? Are we a clothing company and we're talking about the anatomy of the human body? Because we do, we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth. The thing is, clothing is the only thing physically placed on us. Stay here, Dante. Dante's here, my standard poodle. He thinks there's food for him waiting over there, and there's not. It was actually food that I was eating. This video's title, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, is Anatomy Understanding versus Fitness Advice. Okay, clothing. The only thing physically placed on us is literal wording, all right? The way that God clothes the fields with grass, we're designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. Here's your clothing company, our 5-word company name, for that reason. Anything physically placed onto the body, it could be glasses or jewelry, but then traditional clothing items too, tops and pants, shoes, socks, undergarments, gloves, hats, whatever it is. It's just the literal wording of clothing. Okay, blunt, bold, raw, and real. In the Image Clothing Company. I get the surrounding sounds. That is what it is. You can get the information, and that's the point of these date-marked documentations. Okay, the 30th of March, 2026. In the Image Clothing Company's main side, anatomy understanding versus fitness advice. We're not like doing something like pitting one against the other necessarily. That's not what I'm saying in this video. But what I am saying is a lot of people have a lot of advice on how to get the body to be what you could call fit. Fitness, it comes in the form of dieting, what we eat. It comes in the muscles of the body and their ability to work. It comes through the bones and their ability to not wear each other out. The ability to just have endurance throughout the day and breathe properly and just have a normal amount of energy, normal for your own individual body. This is what I mean by fitness. He's waiting. He thinks that there's food for him. I was eating food, and it was mine. And he's wondering if there's still some left for him, and there's not. So I just fed him like a half hour ago, but that's why he's over there. What I'm saying is the truth. Don't believe me? Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Any of our team members under In the Image Clothing Company with any of our information, even any of our poodles. Okay, In the Image Clothing Company poodles is another one of our 4ths. That's why I'm talking about Dante so much. I wouldn't just be talking about the dog so much in this video that's in this video, if he was just in the video, but he's one of our team members. Okay, 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company. Our dog 4th is In the Image Clothing Company poodles. We'll talk about it in this video if we do any more than that. But what I'm saying is, there truly is only one way the human body could ever work. The point is, truth is truth. We don't get to decide or change truth as human beings. We don't get to decide or change how our bodies work. The human body just grows by itself. We go from being basically nothing, if you will, an egg or a sperm, okay, in a human being, to growing as a human being. And then we get born, and then we grow to a full-grown adult. The body just does its thing. The heart beats by itself, the lungs breathe by themselves, the eyes blink by themselves, the body heals itself if it gets cut. And these things just happen. The body grows by itself just to what it is. We've got the bones in the body, only the shape and length that they are, connecting directly to each other through ligaments. We've got a thin layer of cartilage between these bones, which is cushioning. And the bones have to track in line just the only way the ends of the bones are shaped, or they wear each other out. Well, they wear that layer of cartilage out between each other, and then they wear each other out. And then you just grind bone on bone, and your body's very damaged. If it's not allowed to track in line, the muscles of the body connect to the bones of the body. So we first got all the bones of the body. The whole skeletal frame of the human being is just there. It's all connected through ligaments. It's just what it is. All the bones of the body making up this human being's skeletal frame. Now, there's muscles pieced onto the skeletal system to allow it to move. These muscles connect to the bones through tendons, and they only pull. We've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side we reference often titled The Human Body Only Pulls. Muscles only pull where they connect at their end points or their insertions to bones, which are tendons. So we pull to close a hinge joint, but on the back side or the opposing side of the hinge, we pull to extend. We don't push. It's actually impossible for the human being to push. We pull muscles together to extend a hinge, like the elbow, and the hand goes farther from us because we pulled muscles together. The human body only pulls, okay? So that's a huge focus when we're talking about anything to do with fitness at all. And this is what I mean. Anatomy understanding versus fitness advice is if people don't know how the body works, then they could have any kind of idea or advice on how to get your body to do something. But we say it very clearly under In the Image Clothing Company. It's the truth. You can't. It's impossible to train the human being to get it to do anything. It's impossible to get the body to do anything that's not just how the bones that are only the shape and length that they are move, meshing with each other, and that's just by the muscles pulling them only and directly in line from where the muscle inserts on one end of the muscle to a bone and on the other end of the muscle to a different bone. It pulls directly in line. That's it. So it's truly impossible to train the human being to get it to do something like better posture or anything mechanically like this in the body. We've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Human Body is Just Mechanics. It is. We've got levers, hinges, and rotations from the neutral position in the entire body. There is a neutral position to everything in the entire body. We've got Earth's vertical gravity pull, which makes a perpendicular angle with its horizontal surface. This is a 90-degree angle or a right angle. We've got a center line to the human being, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizes the entire body, and all these things in the center line have to mesh with Earth's vertical center of gravity. We've got even mathematical opposing bends from the bottom to top of the human being to stand vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull. No opinion to it. It's mathematics. It would have to be evenly opposing each other just to stay up. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the low back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, then the upper back, which is just the neck, the cervical spine, it bends forward. It's just back and forth bends traveling up the whole body, and that's how we stand up. We've got feet at our foundation, opposing the center line of the human being, and they grip arches inward evenly to keep us vertical. No opinion. The bones are only the shape and length that they are in the body. So that's the point with this video's title is we either have an anatomy understanding of how the human body works. Anatomy meaning the workings of the body, how it's made and what it's made up of, how it works, the only way it can. There's that side of things, with this human being just being this mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space that is our Earth. It only can do what it does. No opinion to it. We just have to have the understanding of it. So you take this side of things, anatomy understanding, and you approach the body. Or there's another side of things you could take here, if we're kind of saying there's just two separate sides to what this video is titled and about. Fitness advice. Now here's the thing, we talk about truth under In the Image Clothing Company. Truth is something that doesn't change. It's something we can't decide or change as human beings. Something that was true once is always true. Anything that's ever true always has been. Another name for God is the truth. The same yesterday, today, and forever. In order for us to even word it as God designed us in his image, he had to first look like us to be able to design us the way he looked in the image of him. So God is always the same. You dig up human beings from thousands of years ago, their bodies are the same as today. Thousands of years down the road, the bodies will be the same as today. As I say, everybody who has one, or everyone who has a body, there is a universal human design. It's literal wording, everybody, you know? Clothing is the only thing physically placed on our bodies, all right? That's why we're a clothing company, is to get to the functionality of the human being. So we have things that can potentially damage our bodies. Oversized clothing, Okay, we've got joints of body parts that need to mesh with joints of material. For example, we could say seams of material of clothing meshing with what we could say as the seams of the body parts where the joints come together. The bones actually connect where the seams need to be of the clothing. Okay, but yeah, oversized clothing is not going to do that. Okay, so what these things that I'm mentioning here do to us is get us into chronic patterning. Scar tissue builds up in our bodies and bone spurs build up in our bodies. If our bodies aren't able to work just the only way they can, just the way that the bones are shaped is the point. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no opinion to it. As I say, you know, come back to see the information that we deliver under In the Image Clothing Company thousands of years down the road or something, and see if we had some claim. It sounds different than what a lot of people say, but it's always been the truth and it always will be. It's nothing to do with us. There's only one way the human body could ever work, truly. When we discuss it in such depth, there's no possible dispute to what we say. It's not our choices. None of us as human beings. We've all been given this body by God. It grows for us. It only does what it does. So this is what I mean with this anatomy understanding. We need it to the degree we do within our own individualistic situations. Otherwise, we could try to approach the body however we want it, with any kind of advice we hear from other people, or we could be trying to give advice to other people on how to get their bodies to work better. It's impossible to do that. Just like it's impossible to train something like posture. Earth's vertical gravity pull never changes, and neither do these opposing bends of the body from bottom to top to stay vertical, meshing with Earth's vertical gravity pull. So yeah, imbalances of any kind in clothing can get us into patterning as well. I mean, I'm talking about a whole bunch of different kind of things that could be imbalanced that we place onto our bodies. That is the literal wording of clothing our bodies with something. You know, we've got rotated seams with robots stitching our clothing nowadays, and it's just often pinned down in a rotation on the body. When the body has its own rotations within our clothing, we can't have our clothing having rotations that forces our bodies to get stuck into a position. Okay. Seams in the collars of tops, keeping collars centered, and the importance of snug collars are two videos here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, but they're just huge focuses in life. We've got even opposing musculature from the center line of our neck and in the spine. The center line of the neck is the spine. Look at the jaw. The jaw is the shoulder. A video's title here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. There's an even opposing musculature from the corner of the lower jawbone down to the edge of the shoulder from the center line of the body. The jaw is stabilizing the entire body. It's got musculature that comes up to the crown of the head, down to some of these upper ribs, and yeah, out to the edge of the shoulder on either side of the center line of the body with Earth's vertical gravity pull that has a centered line to it, you know. We're either leaning left from the center or we're leaning right from the center if we're standing up. We're either leaning forward from the center or leaning back from the center if we're standing up. There's just a neutral position to everything in the body. There's only one way it could ever possibly work. No claim, no opinion, no new information. It's a mechanical machine. It's about the shape and length of the bones. That's all that it could ever do, is what I mean by it. That's what it's about. There's no opinion to it. It either moves or it doesn't. Hinges, levers, and rotations, they're happening at bones meeting other bones, what we call a joint. Bones are essentially just immovable sticks by themselves until they connect to another bone and they move where they connect. That's it. That's all the body could ever possibly do. There's just a full range of motion to everything that has motion in the body, okay? We've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled Full Range of Motion. And yeah, you just move the body until the bones literally hit into each other, and then you're done. You can't go any farther on either end. That's it. How could you possibly go any farther? But the thing is, the body has to reside in its neutral positions, being activated as a whole. As if we had never altered the body, God designed the body to work the same way the animals do. You don't see animals trying to do stretching routines or workout routines. The bodies just work. But animals don't live in this modern man-made world that we make as human beings and place onto God's natural earth. So our bodies get damaged. Then we place ourselves inside of clothing that we make for ourselves as well. If our clothing doesn't work for our bodies are damaged. So yeah, collar seams, rotated seams, zippers, pockets, buttons, things like shoelaces. or drawstrings. Okay, these things are just ropes now that we're getting into, meaning whatever we could clothe our bodies with, if we're tying one side of something over the other side in a knot, like a rope, on or around the body, we twist the entire body, and that gets it into deep patterning, you know. So let me wait for the airplane noise for just a little bit here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good, Dante. It's okay. Good. Yay, good. Good boy. Okay, down. All right, so, you know, yeah, through the airplane noise, here's the thing. The body can never cease to just only work how it does. It's just what it is. Unless we have like a surgical procedure to alter the way the body works, it only does what it does. Within our own individualistic situations, you know, I talk about it like this. You know, you've got an amputation, a deformity, a birth defect, a major surgery, anything that's altered your body a little bit or quite a bit, you can only be set apart or different from something, which is the universal human design. The amount of bones in the body, the amount of muscles and the organs and how this thing functions is a universal human design. And so the big point is, if we're in patterning, our bodies just aren't going to be working properly, you know? Man. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is yeah, this video's title, Anatomy Understanding versus Fitness Advice. The thing is, we just don't know what we don't know, and you can't be held accountable for what you don't know, but there truly is and always has been only one way the human body could ever possibly mechanically operate and just work. But not only just the hinges and levers of the body, I'm talking about, you know, the digestive system. It only does what it does. The heart only does what it does. The lungs only do what they do. You know, the body's everything only does what it does. We've got normals. We talk about the human body's only normal a lot here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, or just wherever we do under In The Image Clothing Company, because it's about the body. You know, we've got a resting heart rate, a resting respiratory rate, the amount our heart beats or the amount our lungs breathe per minute. We could call it a resting, but you could also just call it a normal. It only does what it does. You work out all you want and your body goes back to its normal. You know, we've got a normal amount of fat content in the body versus the normal amount of musculature the body has. And the body uses both musculature and fat for functioning. We've got a normal temperature to the body, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and it doesn't even sway away from that very slightly. Like it doesn't move basically from there. If you go a little bit higher or a little bit lower, I'm talking within a degree of difference in temperature, you know, your body can be damaged from that. So there's only one way the body works. It just stays how it does. It regulates itself. And the thing is, you can work out and gain muscle mass, you know, size to your muscles or strength. But once you stop trying to gain excessive muscle mass or strength, it always goes back to the only normal for your own body. That's how it works for every body, in literal wording, across the entire earth. It's always been the same. Every bodybuilder, you know, someone who works out and has all these big, excessively large muscles, it's been the same for everyone who's ever done that. Everyone or everybody, it's always just gone back to how their body was before once they stopped trying to get it excessively muscular. Okay. So, yeah, we've got a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side titled, You Didn't Train to It, because anything you thought you trained to at one point, if your body can't do that now, you never trained it to do it, you maybe forced it to do something for a time, and your body went back to normal. But there's only a normal to the human being, and so we've got a lot of fitness advice, and, you know, it comes through all the ways. It comes through, like I was saying at the beginning of the video a little bit, eating or exercise, or, yeah, you know, endurance, strength, mobility, all of these things. Well, the thing is, there's only the amount of motion the body has, and the bones literally just hit each other. and you can't go any farther. It's impossible to stretch to anywhere in the body. It's impossible. We have even opposing musculature from the neutral of everything in the body, and we stabilize there. Like I was showing, even just standing, muscle pulls us left or muscle pulls us right, evenly opposing the center, and we stand up vertically. Muscle pulls us forward or muscle pulls us back, evenly opposing the center, and we stand up vertically. The wrist comes up or it goes down, opposing the center, which is the way the fingers track in line. Okay? We've got everything in the body like this. There's a neutral to it. You can't stretch anywhere. It's impossible to go somewhere. The muscles are still connected to the same bones. The bones are still the shape and length that they are, and we still have opposing muscles to allow functioning on either side of a function. If there wasn't opposing sides, we would just move once and you're done. But we move on either side of a neutral position in everything in the body. The hips, the ankles. I mean, well, we could talk about everything that we could talk about within the body. That's the point, is we need an anatomy understanding of the human being more than we could ever possibly benefit from something like fitness advice. And I don't have a claim, so listen to me discuss things thoroughly as I do under In The Image Clothing Company. My name is Evan Strong. I'm the founder. I'll be doing this for my entire lifetime. I don't have some kind of claim or sales pitch. This is the truth for always. It always has been before I was born as well. There's only one way the human body could ever possibly work. So we need an anatomy understanding to then understand why isn't it working if it's not in our own individual situations. There's a neutral. The body just resides in its neutral, relies on its neutrals. Sure. That's it. It can't possibly do anything else. We've got a center line to the body. That's the neutral. There's even opposing musculature on either side of that neutral to the center line of the body. So neutral is the resting state. Neutral is the arms hanging down with Earth's vertical gravity pull. And then we have our full range of motion in our arms. Neutral is our feet flat on the ground. Then we can lift our toes up, which is dorsiflexion, or point our toes down, which is plantar flexion, but from the neutral surface of the planet Earth. Neutral is the hips level with the surface of the planet Earth, and they can tuck underneath us posterior, or they can rotate away from us in the way the hips already bend anterior, but just from the neutral this can happen. Okay, there's always just a neutral to the body. That's how it has motion on both sides. And I understand the wind noise if and where there is throughout this video, but it is what it is. All right, it's a documentation. Date marked 30th of March 2026 in the Image Clothing Company's main site. As I say, that's what we're doing here, is just documenting truth. I don't get to decide this information, so don't believe it. But let's get down to the truth, because you couldn't possibly dispute this if maybe you were thinking there's some way you can train your body to do something. I thought so in the past. I would work out and gain muscle mass only for it to go away. I would try to stretch my body into its only ranges of motion that are always, only, and ever there, and have been since I was born. And that's the case for every body, literal wording, to ever live. The body only does what it does. And so we don't need any kind of fitness advice. What we do, or might in times need, is some anatomy understanding of how the human body works. It's been the same and always will be. It only does what it does. And so this is the thing. We've got even opposing musculature crossing through the hips. Muscles pull up in the front with muscles pulling down in the rear to posteriorly tuck the pelvis. And then we've got muscles pulling down in the front with muscles pulling up in the rear to anteriorly rotate the pelvis. There's a neutral. The feet stay on the Earth's flat surface. They lift up or point down from the neutral. The wrist lifts up or goes down from the neutral. The elbow is the bottom end of the shoulder. The shoulder is the top end of the elbow. The upper arm bone, called the humerus, even through the motorcycle sound, is the elbow at its bottom end. It's the shoulder at its top end. Anywhere the elbow goes, the shoulder goes. So keeping elbows at the natural waist is a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. The natural waist is above those hip bones, but below those lowest ribs, where there's no bones at the sides of the body, regardless of how you carry fat content. Until you get to the center line of the body, there's the spine, and that's the only location we can actually bend side to side at the core. You can't bend side to side without a foot coming off the ground if you're trying to do it at the hips. So there's only one way the body works. It's a mechanical machine. We need to know this, because if our bodies aren't allowed to work, this is our slogan under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, allowing the body to work, because the only thing physically placed on our bodies just has to allow our bodies to continue to operate, while our clothing has the same effect from it on, on it from gravity that our bodies do. Gravity affects our clothing the same way it affects our bodies, okay? Our bodies still only ever work just how they ever could have, and then we make clothing and place it onto the body. We've got unnatural, artificial, and synthetic things in modern 2026 and going forth that damage our bodies, okay? Natural, neutral, and normal are synonyms with how the body works. And the body would just naturally reside in its neutral positions, and that's just how it normally works. God designed the body to work. We can only make unnatural things from natural things, and then they always decompose back to natural after. Where only what we eat, our bodies literally have just become what they are because the earth that we have eaten. If we eat anything unnatural, our bodies can't process those things, and it just damages our bodies. We have to process those things through our bodies, like pass them through our bodies, but our bodies don't extract any nutrients or benefit from those things, and so our bodies are damaged only from eating unnatural foods. It's in the labeling of our foods nowadays, packaged foods at the grocery store, the market, wherever you go, unnatural, synthetic, artificial. Fitness advice. It doesn't matter what they're trying to get you to do, anyone ever. We're never trying to get anyone to do anything under In the Image Clothing Company. What we're doing is getting down to the truth. Truth is apart from all of us, and it's unchanging. Like how the human body is only what it is. It either lives or it dies, and we don't have control over that in the times that we just can't do anything about it. The bones of the body are only the shape and length that they are, and we don't have any control over that, and we can't do anything about it. The body's digestive system only works how it does, and we don't have control over that. We can't do anything about it. So when it comes to fitness advice, a big point is a lot of people really talk about eating, okay? They'll try to tell you to eat all these really extra healthy things, okay? But any kind of advice, fitness advice, if you will, on what to eat for your body to work well doesn't matter if you don't know the anatomy understanding of how your body's digestive system even works. Food's just a foreign object to the body, no matter what it is. The healthiest food on the planet is just a foreign thing until it gets put into your body and your body can accept it and then start to digest it. But the body's got to get acclimated to whatever you put inside of it, because it wasn't there until you put it in there. So it's not just about what we eat, but how we eat it. You could eat the healthiest food that you could find on the planet, and it could actually damage your body. Well, it's things like this, I've heard people say this throughout different parts of my life. People will say, everyone who breathes dies, and everyone who drinks water dies. But these things aren't killing the human beings. But the body's only doing what it does, and even though our bodies need water for functioning within them, if you drink too much water, you can literally drown from inside of you, And so if you don't have an anatomy understanding of how much whatever your body needs, or what way whatever it is in your body works, or things like this, then you can hear someone say that you need to keep drinking a lot of water, but you're flooding your stomach. Your stomach's got a balance of acidic juices, if you will, in it, bodily fluids, stomach acid, that actually digest the food and break food down in your body, so your body can utilize the food and extract the nutrients and benefit from eating something. Otherwise, we wouldn't eat if our bodies didn't benefit from it. All food is fuel. But if you don't put the fuel in your body properly, your body can't use the fuel. Fitness advice might say, drink a lot of water all the time. Anatomy understanding, though, is what we need. Because why does the body need water at all? Any fitness person could give you advice to just keep drinking water because they say it's good for you. Why? What's it doing for your body and how? Why does it matter if you put water into your body or never do? The anatomy understanding of water will let you know that all water does is allow the body to have function. It's lubrication for the body. It allows the blood to flow through the body, and it helps functioning in the cellular level of the human being, and it just lubricates things like mucus and all the things that water can help play the function of in the body. You need an anatomy of understanding to know that the body can't extract or take anything from water. There's nothing in it. But what the body does do to regulate its amount of water that's within it is use electrolytes, minerals, and natural sediment that's in natural water to be able to retain the amount of water the body needs. You don't need any more than you need in the body at a time. Your body will urinate out what it's not using. And if you just keep replenishing it, it's just going to keep urinating out. And maybe some fitness advice might tell you to just keep drinking, and you're just urinating. Anatomy understanding of the human being will let you know you're actually flushing out electrolytes and essential minerals in your body that allow the body to retain water. That's why it just keeps coming out. You keep putting it in and it keeps coming out, and it's just this cycle. Not only that, but you're also diluting those acids in your stomach, so now the food you're eating isn't even being digested fully, but you're drinking a lot of water. It's actually damaging your body though. Truly. Okay. Truth is truth, don't believe me. We need an anatomy understanding. Okay. We need an anatomy understanding more than we could ever possibly need fitness advice. We don't need fitness advice. Our bodies only do what they do. We don't need advice. We need understanding of truth. It's always been the exact same, and it always will. Anatomy understanding of the human being, we could say that's synonymous with just truth of how the human being works, will never change. Like this video, as long as I'm saying things correct in this video, it'll never change. But you'll have all this fitness advice that seems to change all the time. Month after month, even week after week, but definitely year after year, they seem to have some new breakthrough. Any kind of fitness person. How to get your body to work better, well, it's impossible to do. The body only does what it does. So, fitness advice might tell you to stretch your muscles. But where are you going to stretch to? Anatomy understanding of the human being will tell you stretch goes the exact opposite direction of the only way the muscles could ever work in the body. We have opposing muscles to a function. Muscle fibers literally pull together by firing. An electrical system sent from the brain tells the fibers of the muscles to get closer together. Muscles only pull, they only contract. They come together, and that's it. Stretching your muscles, you're pulling on them the exact opposite direction of the only way they can possibly function. Anatomy understanding versus fitness advice. Where are you going to stretch to? It's impossible to go anywhere unless you rupture something. My bones are hitting together here at the full extension of my elbow, and my bones are hitting together here at the full contraction of my elbow. I physically couldn't possibly stretch anywhere else. But there's a neutral. The body works activated as a whole. Check this out. Fitness advice might tell you to train certain parts of your body, work out certain parts of your body. Anatomy understanding tells you the truth. The body works activated as a whole. Everything in the body's there with its own individual role to play, and it all has to function all together. If anything in the body's not playing its role, something else has to try to compensate to make up for the role of something not playing its function. But everything's got a different function. There's truly only one way the human body could ever possibly work. No opinion to it that could ever possibly matter, so don't believe me. But truth is truth. We need an anatomy understanding of the human being, not fitness advice. You don't even need to think about fitness. Your body either is working or it's not. It's either working all together or it's really trying to struggle to compensate because part of it's deactivated. There's no perfect world kind of thing. If we never altered the body, it would just work. Within our own individualistic situations, God designed the human being to work. And not only like to be able to work, but he designed the human being to do that, to physically operate and to move, to use its functioning. Otherwise you get, otherwise your body gets damaged. I mean, that's the thing, if you sit around and don't use your body, it'll get damaged. The body needs to work. And what I mean by that is even just standing. I don't mean you have to go perform some task, but standing up, the body's entirety has to work all together. You can't drag around dead weight. And it's all connected. The body's a kinetic chain of mechanics. It only does what it does. And it has to do that all together. It's all there. So, fitness advice might tell you to stretch some certain part of your body. Why? And where are you going to possibly get it to? Your bones will hit each other and you're done with your motion. Where else are you going to go? So, we need an understanding of the human being, to a degree at least. When it comes to eating, we've got a bioavailability, the amount of nutrients we can extract from food, depending on what it is and depending on what body it is, a human being versus certain animals. I could eat a sandwich with a certain amount of measurable energy in it, which is labeled as calories. Even that in itself. Fitness advice might tell you to limit your calorie intake, but why? Do you know what that is? If not, that's fine, but why is anyone giving fitness advice saying that? Anatomy understanding, an understanding of how the human body works, the word calorie is just synonymous with a measurement of energy. And food is only fuel. The body needs to be fueled to work. You'll get fitness advice telling you to stay away from certain foods. But why? Why really? Why are they really saying these things? Food is energy. Your body has to have energy to move and operate and even just breathe. Breathing is moving. We're pulling muscles together to open our rib cage, and we have this exchange of gases, pressure. Oxygen flows into the body. We don't suck it in. It rushes in. Okay. Fitness advice. Telling you to limit your calories. Limit your energy intake. Why? Context needs to be seen. All food is energy. It's fuel for the body. But also, if we're not introducing the fuel that we give to the body properly, you can eat a whole lot of calories and your body's only extracting part of that. That's what I'm saying with the bioavailability. The body of the human being's ability to take nutrients from food is really what I'm saying there. If we eat something that's 500 calories, we could say it's 500 measurable amount of energy units. Okay, there you go. Synonymous. Energy is what a calorie is. It's a measurement of the amount of energy is within food. So 500 calories in some kind of food item you eat, well, if you don't introduce it to your body properly, your body might only take 300 of those calories from the food. But if we introduce the food to the body properly, we put it into the body with just a small amount at a time, the natural bite size, a video's title here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, the natural bite size, and we don't put any more food in our mouth at a time than what can fit within the bed of our teeth, so that we're not poking it into our cheeks, between our teeth and our cheeks, but it's actually inside of our mouth where we swallow between our teeth bed, where our tongue is. And we chew our food thoroughly, and we have our saliva be used to fully coat our food. as the first form of digestion the body has to break down carbohydrates and fats and neutralize food before we even swallow it into our abdomen. Well, this is what the anatomy understanding side of things will get us. An understanding of how to introduce energy, fuel, food to the body. But fitness advice might tell you to just shove some things in your mouth that you could call healthy. It's not going to do any good if your body can't utilize it. Your body can only utilize it the way your body can utilize it. Okay. So, there's a lot of things like this that are two completely different sides of looking at things, and only one of them works. The point is, the body only does what it does. We say it so clear and so often under In the Image Clothing Company. There is only one way the human body could ever work. There's no claim. It just does what it does. It grew for itself. And it either does what it does or it doesn't do what it's supposed to, and we can't change it. You die when you die. If we could get the body to do something, we wouldn't die. The body only does what it does until it's not able to do it anymore. We've all got an expiration date, and in the meantime, it only functions how it does. That's it. No opinion that could matter. That's why I word it like that. When I say that phrase like that, there's no opinion that could possibly matter to this when I'm discussing the human being, because you can have all the opinions on it and give fitness advice, but no one needs advice. They need truth. The body only does what it does, always and forever. On either end of every human being to ever live, it's always the same thing. No advice is going to help that. Understanding of how it functions, though, really will. So, yeah, I mean, we could talk about anything we could talk about like this, and I will be doing this for the rest of my entire lifetime. Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and our team will be doing this with human beings, and it's always the same. There is a universal human design, so what we need is an anatomy understanding of how the body really works. Because, yeah, I mean, even breathing. You know, you try to train somebody or teach somebody some kind of advice on how to breathe better. The body only breathes how it does. I mean, we don't even really decide how much air comes into our bodies. We don't suck air in, first of all. We just open a void space for the air to rush in with an exchange of different pressures in the atmosphere versus inside of our body. But also, breathing is an unconscious thing. We don't do it, you know, consciously. It's subconsciously happening. It's just happening without us thinking about it. So you're not gonna try to like give advice on how to breathe better. You're not always thinking to breathe. Your body breathes while you're asleep. Fitness advice, trying to teach someone how to breathe better. But anatomy understanding, the body breathes on its own, and it just will if it can, or it doesn't. That's it. Is Dante still here? Dante's still there. Dante's a good dog. Dante's the rescue from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. Okay. In the Image Clothing Company poodles. So, yeah. Two sides to take. Only one of them will ever work. It's just like life. We either serve God or we go to hell. And there's more to it than that. It's not just like cut and dry. All of a sudden you're in fire and brimstone because you didn't do everything perfect. That's not what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what I say either, but what is the truth? The truth is things only work how they do. And we could have all our advice on how to get something to do something, but it only does what it does. When it's something we didn't design, like the human being, for example. Okay, so we need anatomy understanding. We need to know how this thing works. We need to understand eating, sleeping, breathing, standing, sitting, walking, hydration, which ironically enough, these are the things that I discussed that we talk about under In the Image Clothing Company. When I say, yeah, we're a clothing company, but only because clothing's the only thing physically placed on us. And everything we do in our lives, we're doing it in and through our clothing. So you can address anything you want in your life, but we also discuss standing, eating, sleeping, sitting, walking, breathing, hydration, and everything we do as a human being, doing these things naturally, because we're either doing them or we're not. You're either breathing or you die. Your body's either working activated as a whole, or you're struggling to try to get parts of it to just do what they should already do. Everything in the body's there. Why is it there? It's there because it has a function to play. And if it's not playing its function, then you can have all this advice on how to do something with your body, but if something's just not working proper in it, you just need to let it work. Stop restricting it, and it'll work. Within our own individualistic situations, I mean, we've got our own things, but still, no matter what, all we can do, even if we've got things not working quite properly in our bodies, the only option is to get them as close as we can to the universal human design. It's like a car. If a car's not working properly, you don't try to get some advice on things to add to it to get it to function. You just figure out what's not working in it and try to fix that thing. That's how the body is. It's the same exact approach. The only approach is it was designed how it was. It should do that. If it's not, what's not allowing it to do that? There's that word, allowing the body to work. Under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here. No sales pitch, no new information, no claim. There's truly only one way this thing happens, ever. Functioning of the human being in all aspects of anything it does. It's not our design. So, anyway, we've just got a lot of fitness advice out there. You know, people will change all the ways they're trying to approach telling you how to eat, all the ways they're trying to approach telling you how to stay hydrated, all the ways they're trying to approach telling you how to be able to have just full motion in your body, but you've had that full motion since you were born. It shouldn't go away. It's the same body. You know. Yeah, there's only one way the human body could ever work, and so it doesn't matter. Fitness advice changes. The human body's anatomy doesn't. So which side do we need? We need the understanding of what the body really is and how it works. The only way it ever possibly can, does, or will, or could. It's just what it is. You know, I mean, you go to the doctor, and you can have someone be trained to be a doctor on one side of the earth, and then work on human beings' bodies on the other side of the earth. Completely different human beings, different races or different ethnicities, you know, from a man to a woman, most everything, besides that there are biological difference from man to woman, but the baseline structure of the human being, a doctor knows how to work on every body because they're all the same in the ways that they are, you know. Well, like, really, the differences are just, yeah, from man to woman, really. You know, I mean, the point is, it doesn't matter. Any kind of fitness advice, who cares? It doesn't matter how fit you want to try to be. Well, is your body working? Or are you trying to get it to be fit? And what does that mean? Because that's the other thing, is you've got all this advice on what it means to be fit, what it means to be healthy. Well, what does it mean for the body to work? It either works or it doesn't. So how do we allow the body to work? All opinions aside, what does it do? It's just like eating. All opinions aside, it's just fuel. It's just like functionality physically. All opinions aside, the bones are only the shape and length that they are, and muscles only pull. I mean, all opinions aside, how does the body work? Because it doesn't matter what anyone tries to come up with or think they made a breakthrough on. That's impossible. The body's still always just what it has been forever, and it always will be. We need an understanding of the anatomy. The anatomy of this body never changes. You get the same body when you're born that you'll have when you die. Fitness advice here and there throughout doesn't matter. You still got the same body, still only working how it does. Let's understand how it works and just cater to that, if you will. I mean, that's we could word it like that. Catering to the body's needs to the only way it can possibly function. I mean, that's what we could say our slogan is here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, when really it is the same thing worded this way, allowing the body to work. It only does what it does. Let's not alter it. And if we have, let's get out of chronic patterning, which we show how to do under In the Image Clothing Company's main side here. You know, I mean, we live in a right-handed world. If you're in a right-handed patterning with 85%, give or take, of human beings using their right hand for the majority of things over their left hand, And we've just got two sides to our bodies opposing the center line on with Earth's vertical gravity pull that's always pulling center down on our bodies our entire lives on this planet. If you start within a patterning and a right-handed twist, and you try to do something to your body fitness-wise to train it centered by doing the same amount of something on each side of the body when your body's twisted, fitness advice doesn't matter. What's the anatomy of the body supposed to look like? Well, it's supposed to evenly oppose the center line because there is one. There has to be, because it meshes with Earth's vertical gravity pull that's centered. You know? I mean, someone can try to tell you to do all that they try to tell you to do advice-wise with fitness. And let's say you've got ropes tied around your body, twisting your body. You hear some fitness advice that says you should go run to stay healthy. Well, why? I don't run. I'm healthy. I'm the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. There's a lot of context, video documentation posted publicly on the internet, date marked to show that I'm healthy. I don't run. Why are they giving you fitness advice if they are to go run? What's that going to do for your body? Because right when you stop running, your body goes back to how it was right before you started running. I mean, there's no claim here. There's no kind of sales pitch. It's just it's the truth. Anatomy understanding is a resting heart rate. Your heart rate will go up when you run. Your heart will start beating faster, but it'll go back to normal when you stop running. The same rate that it was at before you started running. So, yeah, I mean, fitness advice, it doesn't matter. I mean, if I were to try to give fitness advice, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter who's saying it. Truth is truth. The body only works how it does. Always, only, and ever. We need to understand it. Because if you try to give someone some kind of fitness advice and tell them to go running, and you say maybe that'll help their body be fit, well, first of all, what's your definition of fit? That's one part of it. But secondly, let's say you've got someone with a pair of shorts around their waist, or just pants of any kind, and they've put a rope around their waist and tied it one side over the other, and they've twisted their entire body with a rope. And now you go running with this advice someone gave you on how to be fit inside of a rope that's twisting your whole pelvis, your hip structure, up your spine to the tip of your head, out to the tips of your fingers, and down to the tips of your toes. Well, this is what we do under In The Image Clothing Company, is understand the body is truly just a mechanical machine. If you alter its physical functioning, you've altered its physical functioning. No amount of workouts or fitness or health addressing in any way to the human being will ever possibly get your body to do anything if it's not allowed to just do what it does. There's no opinion, there's no approach, there's no condition from human being to human being or time period to time period. No new information, nothing we could take credit for under In The Image Clothing Company. This is the truth of God. This is the human being always being the exact same in its functioning. Residing in its neutrals, working activated as a whole, as if it was never altered. Eating only natural foods because nothing unnatural exists until human beings make it. But matter cannot be created or destroyed, so we can only take natural things anyway to make unnatural with. This is truth. So, we need an understanding of how the human body works. And it doesn't matter what kind of advice anyone has, including myself. That's why I say don't believe me. Truth is apart from all of us. It'll never change. It never started, really. All right? So, there you go. The 30th of March, 2026. In The Image Clothing Company's main side. What side do we take as In The Image Clothing Company? Well, we just get to the truth. There's no side to truth. There's no opinion to truth. You can have fitness advice, opinions on how you think you can get the human being to do something, or we can have an understanding of how the God made human flesh, blood, flesh, bone, with these organs, bones. I know I said that, but what I mean is everything in it just has its function. The bones are just the frame. The muscles are just the ability to move the frame. The organs are just to allow the functioning through the body being fueled. I mean, we're even fueled by breathing in the ways that we are. Our blood is fueled with oxygen by us breathing. What I'm saying is, yeah, if we're talking about the bones, the tendons, the ligaments, the muscles, the organs, any of the senses the body has, every part of any part of it, it only does what it does. And if it doesn't, we struggle physically until we die. That's it. There's no advice to that. It's just what it is. Some people wake up in the morning and some people don't. No amount of fitness advice is going to stop you from dying. An understanding of the human being, knowing that it only lives as long as it does, leaves us with peace, really. I mean, do you see what I mean? It's truth. There's only one way it works. So, anyway, In the Image Clothing Company. Poodles, okay? Another one of our Fords, In the Image Clothing Company poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. Standard is the large size of the breed of the poodle, but we give information that applies to all dogs on what we title as letting dogs stay natural. We do the same things we do here on In the Image Clothing Company's main side for the human being, but just for the dogs. Our information not only applies to all dogs across the earth, but any animals that it would as well. Pack mules, horses, you know, you put halters around an animal or whatever it is. It's like a slip lead for a dog. We've got collars, leashes, harnesses, bandanas, slip leads, anything you place onto a dog, tying something on it like a bandana, putting something around the dog's neck like a collar. We have collars as human beings. They have to stay centered. Yeah. It's as real as it gets, man. Same thing, you know, all this advice on how to have a healthy dog. You need an anatomy understanding on how were the dogs in the wild before we domesticated them. We take wild dogs out of their natural environment and put them in our modern man-made world we place onto God's natural earth. We've got a lot of hidden dangers for the dogs, like cars, man-made poisons and chemicals that can kill the dog. The dogs don't know these things the way that we do as human beings. They don't know how to navigate this place that we place them into in our modern societies. We selectively breed dogs, and it's different than in the wild when you've got survival of the fittest and only the healthy dogs can actually live in the wild. And then those healthy dogs breed healthy puppies. And then good bloodlines of dogs are furthered. In our domesticated dog societies, we've got a lot of unhealthy mixed dog breeds and just improperly bred dogs. There's a lot going on. So keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes starts before the birth of the dogs with proper breeding, the way that it would have to naturally be done in the wild, because you're only healthy enough to eat and live or you die. I mean, it's the same thing with this video's title for us as human beings on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Like I'm saying, I mean, there's no advice on anything. It's you know, as a dog, for In the Image Clothing Company poodles, we can see it the same way. They're either healthy enough in the wild, any wild dog, to be able to run, kill an animal, and eat it, or they starve to death and they die. That's what starving to death is dying. You know, so this is what I mean. There's no opinion to truth. There's no opinion to how to approach the human being. It only is what it is. All we can do is understand it and allow it to work. So anyway, yeah, In the Image Clothing Company music, another one of our Fords where we show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter things like this neutral wrist. Straight out from the outside of the forearm, down and out that pinky finger is the neutral. To the wrist, okay, I love that. And the rounding in the hands too, you know, sizing and setup of guitar. The hand roundedness correlates with the arches in our feet. So fitness advice might tell you to go running on a flat, man-made flooring material, okay? And in the nature environment that we live in before we have man-made things as human beings, Well, God designed our bodies to work with the textured earth, and we've got gripped arches in our feet and rounding to our hands. We've got a lot of flat things in modern man-made, societies. So, different length 5 toes, different length fingers, meshing with our different length thumb. Fitness advice, I'll tell you all sorts of things. They go against us rolling evenly off the ends of our 5 different length toes. There's a video under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here titled Different Length Toes. We've got different length fingers. Our hands only work around our thumbs. We work with rounded, open palms, okay? The open palm and internal rotation, a video. Under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here, okay? So fitness advice couldn't, and won't ever matter. An understanding of how this mechanical machine that is the human being that we've been given by God works will matter. Permanently. Okay. Airplane noise, I get it. No approach, no opinion, no new information. It'll be just as valid any time period ever. What I've said in this video, as long as what I've said here is aligning with the truth of God. We didn't design the body. I mean, yeah, any kind of fitness advice, telling you to grab something flat and do something with your body when you've grabbed something flat with your rounded human hands, even on the flat flooring that human beings make, doing something with your hands on the ground, your hands are only round. Same with the feet. The feet are only round. We've got man-made flat flooring. This alters the bodies of our domesticated dogs and just our natural bodies as human beings. There's no approach to natural. The goal is natural on all 4 sides of In The Image Clothing Company, but as I said earlier, matter cannot be created or destroyed. Everything is just how it naturally is. We can alter it as human beings, but it always goes back to how it naturally was. There's no opinion. It's like the human being. Well, there's no opinion that could matter. Not even of my own. The truth, okay? The human being, as a little child, has full range of motion, a lot of natural functioning. As we get older, we get into patterning, but we can get out of patterning back to the only way the human body could ever possibly work, how it worked as a child. And how some people's work through their whole lives. And so why don't others? Well, anatomy understanding is why, actually, truly, yeah. So here's the thing. Rhythm and poetry, spoken word, singing, guitar playing, lyricism, music geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages on In The Image Clothing Company music. It's a lot of what we do. We've got In The Image Clothing Company podcast, another one of our forwards where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. You don't have to be religious in the slightest bit or believe in anything, but we're all human beings. We're the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. It just is what it is. All right, we're on episode 204 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as of today's date, the 30th of March, 2026. So, fingernails, okay? Yikes, fingernails and toenails. Fitness advice, if it's not first coming from a place of understanding that our fingernails and our toenails are natural God-given strength. To fully back and support the fingers and toes, they need to be cut at least all the way to the very tips. Right at the very tips is really the ideal. And cut relatively flat so we stay in this neutral that's there in the entire body. But stemming from the hand up through the wrist and stemming from the foot up through the ankle, through the rest of the body, fingernails and toenails. Fitness advice, no matter what it could be, how close it could be to how the body works, it's void, if you will. It's useless entirely if you don't first start with just natural fingernails and toenails at their proper length to just back and support your fingers and toes, because a lot of people just cut theirs way too short. Where grip strength really comes from is a video I filmed in beautiful St. George, Utah in the fall, but November specifically of 2025. I was out there on this beautiful red rock sandstone in this little canyon area. Good. Anyway, you know, the hand's not the hand until we first start from the wrist, but even before then the forearm, and even before then the elbow, which is the joint of the forearm to the upper arm bone. So the upper arm bone, the humerus. But then before we can even get there, we have to start at the center line of the body, at the spine, and so we got to come in from the collarbone or the shoulder blade, and then through the trapezius in the rear, if that's where you're going, to the spine, because that's the center line of the body. Before we can ever have strength anywhere, we've got to exist. And that's coming actually from the brain that stems down through the spine and then out through the whole body from there. You have to have an understanding of the anatomy of the human body before you can ever try to possibly give some kind of fitness advice. And just out of transparency, I used to try to give fitness advice years ago. And, you know, also just some context, there's been plenty of times in my life where I did workouts for a while and I gained pounds of muscle mass and visual size and inches of muscle size around my arms, for example, and my chest with my pec muscles, pectoralis, you know. Shoot. I understand, I get it, you know. But I also really get not only that you can gain muscle, but that it goes away. Back to normal. Always. Okay, there's only a normal to the human being. And that's something a lot of people don't fully understand, which is fine. That's this half of this video's title. Anatomy understanding versus fitness advice. Well, the body only does what it does. We need an understanding of it, okay? So, yeah, fingernails and toenails. That's one of the big things. So here's the thing, we discuss very clearly where clothing sits under In the Image Clothing Company. Gravity affecting our clothing the same as it's affecting our bodies, joints of material meshing with joints of body parts, potential rotations of ropes on the body, potentially elevating our heels from their neutral, which is the surface of the earth, okay, on our feet with man-made heels under our man-made shoes onto our God-made feet, okay. So there's a lot to this, you know. The point is, we don't, you know, hold back our information. We're not going to have you pay us for things before we can give you what we could label as the fixes to things. Well, truly, the fix would be to never alter the human being. It's designed by God to work. But the only reason that we can say, because this is the case as well, that clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems, because you either never clothe the body or you do. So if you're going to clothe the body, it just has to work for the body. Okay. So anyway, I'm not going to discuss in this video. I'm not holding anything back, but this is all this video needs to be. But we discuss where clothing sits very clearly in many different places, publicly, freely, under In the Image Clothing Company. That's the focus. That's the point. But we've got things like stretch in clothing that came just tens of years ago from today's date. 30th of March 2026, and if stretch is in our clothing with these unnatural materials that got invented at around that time, you know, our muscles only pull, every muscle, even when we think we're pushing, we're only pulling muscles together to extend hinge joints in the body. So this is what I'm saying. Fitness advice, you can have all the fitness advice given to you want, or someone wants to give you in your entire life. Yeah. Yep. But if you're wearing stretchy clothing, meaning there's something physically placed onto you, doing the literal word of clothing your body with whatever it is that has stretch within it, that's going the exact opposite direction of the only way the muscles of your body can possibly do anything. The only way the body works is if the muscles work to stabilize and move the skeletal system. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're wearing stretchy clothing, yeah, your body's damaged to begin with before you could ever try to approach any kind of fitness advice. An understanding of the anatomy of the body will tell you the muscles only pull. But then you also need to be coupled with the context of stretch in clothing exists, and it's new. It is. Okay. We deal with a lot of things as human beings we never could have possibly had to in the past. We've just got inventions. We've got technology. We've got things that are changed in the ways that they're made. Just the way that we structure our societies. No human being ever lived in quite the same society as any current day human being, whatever current day that is. We just keep inventing things as human beings. Things keep changing, but truth doesn't. The human body doesn't. But what we make with the human body and then essentially force the human body to interact with, these things change all the time, okay, because of us. Truth is truth. Nature doesn't change. Not really. I mean, sure, natural disasters, but what's the word of that? Natural disasters. You can call it a disaster, but it's natural. For a hurricane to change the landscape, an earthquake to change the landscape. Things like this, you know, floods or tornadoes or wildfires, we label these as the literal wording of natural disasters, okay? So, truth is truth. We need an understanding of the anatomy of the human being. We don't ever, couldn't ever, and won't benefit from fitness advice. So just to be very clear, here under In the Image Clothing Company, we're not giving advice. That's not our focus. I mean, if something comes across as advice at one point, or if we just don't fully understand something we're saying, yeah, we're all human beings. We're all the same, you know, we're all imperfect is the point. We rely on a perfect God, but that's the point, is he designed our bodies. Gaining an understanding of how the body works is gaining an understanding of God, because the body just does what it does. It's apart from us, which is truth, which is another name for God. It's just unchanging. It just does what it does, no matter what kind of advice we have on it. So that's how I can so clearly say, and we will continue to always. I mean, that's one of our main sayings under In the Image Clothing Company is don't believe us. You don't have to. Spoken or unspoken, truth is always truth, and the human being only does what it does, even if you're spoken the information to or not. Even if you're given the understandings or not, your body still only does what it does. It doesn't matter who gives you advice or not, the body still only does what it does. Yeah. Because our understandings of our own bodies, they don't change how it works. See what I mean? Truth is truth. You can understand truth, or you can develop advice. You know, that doesn't really matter, really. Not really. It doesn't. So, I mean, we talk about giving a lot of free modifications in clothing. You know, In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, and like I was saying a little bit earlier too, you know, pant zippers or zippers in any kind, they interlock one side over the other. You know, how to tie ropes on the body. There's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled Left-Handed Knots versus Right-Handed Knots, and we essentially need left-handed knots on our right side and right-handed knots on our left side because we've got a center line to the body. You know, and anything tied in the center of the body, it needs to just be horizontal and even because the Earth's surface is. And then you can go up a hill only from the neutral, or you can go down a hill but only from the neutral horizontal surface to the Earth. Okay. So just to be clear on what I'm saying, all we're doing, as In the Image Clothing Company, is giving understandings. So you don't have to believe in anything, ever, for things to just continue to be what they are. But if you don't know what they are, you can develop an understanding of what they are. And that can be beneficial to you because every body has one, okay? And living in this modern man-made world, we almost have to know quite a bit about how our bodies work just to not alter them. That's the point. You're living within rotated seams in your clothing. You're living within rotated knots, or knots tied on your body. Rotating your body is the point, but that's the same thing. Seams on your body, rotating your body. Zippers, one side over the other on your body, changing your body's ability to be level from one side to the other. We've got 2 feet on either side of the center line of our bodies. See what I mean? We've got, just a lot going on. Unnatural materials. It's not only in our clothing, but in our food. Like I was saying a little bit in this video, it's in the literal labeling of our food. Unnatural flavorings, unnatural preservatives, unnatural colorings, synthetic things. These are just synonyms for fake. The body's only natural. Comes from the earth, it returns to the earth. The earth has always been here. Well, since God made it. But before the human beings is when God made the earth. We're placed onto the earth. It was already here before we were born. And it'll be here after we leave, just as the same thing. Truth is truth. There's no religion to try to understand, really. I mean, do you see what I mean by that? It doesn't matter if you're religious or not. Your body only does what it does. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not. You got to this earth somehow. You can't even develop a belief on how you got here until you got here to be able to develop a belief. So your belief can't change how you got here. It already happened. See what I mean? Truth is truth. It's not my decision, so don't get after me for it. It wouldn't do you any good. It's not going to do me any good, but, just to be clear, it's not going to help you either. If you've got a problem with what I'm saying. But I say this clearly, too, under In the Image Clothing Company. I used to say this quite a bit meaning, there's many episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast where I've said this before. Today's date, okay? The 30th of March, 2026 is today's date. But, yeah, if you've got a problem with us, stick around. Because deeper understandings is what you need. What I normally say is, what do I say? If you got a problem with us, stick around. Deeper context brings deeper understandings. That's the phrase I've said many times, because we just give so much context. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Context Over Content. The point is context. It's synonymous with the word understanding. We just need understandings of what life is, because it is. Like how we discuss God and we say God is. God is who he is. Like the human being is what the human being is. It's like saying truth is truth. It's like saying Dante is Dante, my dog here. Do you see what I mean? Things are only what they are, as far as things are only what they are. I mean, there's only one way the human body could ever work. So we need an understanding of it, because if it's not working, there's a reason to it. Just like a car. Your car was driving, and then it stopped working. Why? You need an understanding of why your car stopped working. Or just like a vehicle, a machine of any kind. The point is, well, that's just a good way of understanding it, but literally, the human body is just a mechanical machine. You fuel your car with whatever you fuel it with. Gas or oil. Well, oil lubricates the car the way the body gets lubricated by water. Gasoline fuels the car, or diesel fuel, or whatever it is that fuels your car specifically, the specific car. The human body is fueled by food. And we have these understandings of how these things work because they only work, or they don't. No advice is going to help you if it's not just explaining and giving you an understanding of what it actually does. Okay. So, anyway, I just love it, This is truly preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's so funny because I say I'm not religious because there's truth to life. God is the truth. I mean, yeah, it's like you're trying to say you don't believe you have a body, but you're the one that spoke those words out of your physical mouth. As an example, let's say, hypothetically, it's your physical body that's doing mechanical operations, moving your lower jawbone and your tongue to speak. Truth is truth. It only does what it does. It only happens how it happens. There's no advice to it. Understandings, though, can be very deep. Okay? not to toot my own horn, but to make it very clear, we really do have a very deep understanding of how the human body works here under In the Image Clothing Company. And our focus is just to only deepen that as time progresses. You know, that's the point. Allowing the body to work. What all do we need to do? Let's figure it out. You know, anything we don't know already is the point. That'd be great to know, because there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Only Thing That We Have. It's our bodies. It's the only thing you have, really. Everything can come and go, but it's essentially coming to or going from what is your physical being, your physical body, the human flesh in this life. You don't have a physical life here on earth in this form if you don't have a physical body. Well, everything leaves except your body. Once your body leaves, you're done with this physical life. You're not going to be searching for advice at that point. If it's coming to like life or death, you want an understanding. Do you really know what's going on with me, doctor? For example, you see what I mean? You go to the doctor, you're not looking for advice. You're looking for someone who really understands what's happening to give you the truth. Thank you.